My husband asked me for a paternity test because he thinks I cheated. We have been together for almost 9 years, and during all these years we tried to conceive, but it was impossible even though we have tried everything, so we gave up, and 5 years ago we decided to adopt 2 beautiful kids, 6-8. Since then we haven't done any treatment to get pregnant again, but we haven't stopped trying to conceive naturally, even though we knew it was impossible. Well, I got pregnant and he didn't react like I thought he would after trying for years. When I found out I was pregnant, I was already in my 17th week, so since then I have had a lot of doctor's appointments to check that everything is okay, and everything is perfect, but he was so distant that I couldn't even be happy about it. He went with me to most of my doctor's appointments, but he never showed interest in the baby. He is always quiet, and in the last 2 he didn't want to go with me, and I felt very hurt by that because he loves our children with his life, and seeing him act that way towards our daughter who was not even born yet really hurt me. When I asked him what was wrong, he made excuses like he didn't want more children because he is old and he doesn't want this baby to be bullied at school for having an old father and things like that. And at first I understood it because I know that our children sometimes receive ridicule for that, not because he looks old, because the truth is that he looks very young for his age, but because when our children tell their friends that their father is 50, all of them assumes that he is extremely old and on the verge of death, and that hurt our children a lot. So I believed his excuses and I tried to understand his concerns, but then he continued acting strange, and from one day to the next he asked me for a paternity test. I asked him why, and he said he didn't believe our daughter was his because he could never get anyone pregnant, not even when he was young, and I know that's true because he always told me that he tried to conceive for years with his ex-girlfriend but was never successful. I understood his fears, so I accepted the paternity test because I really know that I never slept with anyone other than him and I had nothing to hide. Well, the test came back positive and he apologized for having doubted me, and I told him that I forgave him because it was understandable that he doubted me, but at the same time I couldn't help but feel bad because he didn't trust me. I never gave him a reason to doubt me, and yet he believed that I deceived him, and even worse, he thought that I cheated on him, that I got pregnant and made him believe that this baby was his, and thinking about it hurts me a lot, and I'm afraid that this pain won't go away. These days he has been different with everything that has to do with our daughter. He is excited, he has bought her many things, and he is constantly talking about her to everyone. And part of me wants to feel happy and understand him, but another part of me is still hurt. How can I overcome something of this magnitude? Edit. For those who asked before deciding to adopt, we visited several specialists and the last one told him that it was impossible for him to have biological children, that if nothing worked until that moment it is because it was impossible. And I don't care what you have to say about our age gap because I didn't ask about it, it was never a problem and it is not a problem now either. Comment. I didn't even read the whole post, just the title to know what the problem is. OP has aged out and he's looking for a way out, so he can get with another kid in their 20s if he hasn't already. Classic projection here. That age gap and when they got together is a big yikes. What could a 41-year-old and a 22-year-old possibly have in common? Yes, I know it's 100% legal for a 41-year-old to date a 22-year-old, but is it right? Does making something legal mean it's right? I mean, cheating is legal in tons of countries, that make it okay? We all know it's not, so why does this age gap shit get a pass with so many people? My ex's baby daddy was this way. He manipulated multiple teenage girls into having kids with him. He knocked them up at 18, once they turned 21 he left them for the next 18-year-old. This creep did this multiple times. Yet there's so many people who are like, but is legal. 111. As if that absolves it. People should be encouraged to date and be with people in their age range and shame these old creeps who, let's be fair, if it were legal, would be cradle robbers. I've seen way too many horror stories like yours that I know in my soul it's wrong, but nope, society praises these old creeps as elites of society for having trophy partners. Am I off base though? I've read the post and yet, okay, he thought he couldn't have biological kids, but to immediately jump to accusing his partner of cheating and paternity fraud instead of getting his swimmers tested is fucking ridiculous. makes me think he's looking for an out, especially since one of the top reasons a man would cheat on their wife is due to her being pregnant. This reeks of projection. I'm always ultra skeptical of false accusations of cheating. He got his swimmers checked and they weren't swimming. Look, I usually think the paternity tests are way out of line, but he had a pretty decent reason. Was the age gap sketchy when they got together? Sure. But Christ, they've adopted 2 children. She's hardly just a fun time for him. I totally agree with you. Typically I would call husband ta, but not in this instance. They were forever unable to become pregnant. Medical experts confirmed. In this instance, he was not out of line. He also has apologized. Under these circumstances, he's NTA. Unfortunately, wife, while she understands his reservations, is understandably hurt. Perhaps counseling will be necessary to assist her in overcoming the hurt. Finally, I agree that based on her post-cut the age remarks. When they adopted 2 children, it showed their commitment to one another. So for now, it's time to celebrate her pregnancy. Congratulations. You are right, they should been celebrating her pregnancy, and if she's still thinking what he told her, go for counseling will help. But as I understand they have a serious commitment to each other and no issues about age difference. I once have a 18 years gap with my boyfriend and I was never a problem. Story 2. My cousin humiliated me in front of our family and his friends and I feel heartbroken. Yesterday our family gathered for the first time in 5 years as we are not close and some of them moved to different countries. We went to have lunch at a restaurant to catch up now that we are all here. We were 20 people, including my cousin's new girlfriend and a friend of his. He had always been the sensitive one of the cousins and as kids we both spent the summers at grandma's house. We always got along as we are close in age, even if we had the normal kid fights. Everything was going well at the restaurant, when all of a sudden my cousin said out loud, "Have you guys noticed how huge my nose is?" I hadn't noticed before. I don't know how she doesn't fall over by the weight of it. Everyone stared at my nose in silence, including the people I had never met before. My cousin's brother laughed. This situation took me by surprise, so I was petrified. Someone changed the subject and I kind of forgot about the comment, and then one of my aunts mentioned she's getting into skincare, and my cousin said, "At least you don't have a big nose like my name." I told him to fuck off and that he was the ugly duckling of the family anyway. Childish, I know, but I wanted to get back at him. His brother, who had previously laughed, told him to shut up and that was unnecessary. When we were leaving, he added that I should really see a plastic surgeon about my nose. His brother punched him slightly on the arm as if saying enough. I came home upset but thinking I would forget about it, but I couldn't sleep last night and I keep replaying the situation in my head. Everyone staring at me as he was mocking me. I had never had a problem with my nose. It has a noticeable bump from the side but I don't think it's that big. But the truth is I feel hideous and I've checked my face in the mirror more than I would like to admit. But worse than the comment itself is the humiliation, of course. I don't know if I'm blowing things out of proportion, but this didn't feel like playful banter and I feel like it's going to stick with me for a while. I've thought of calling him but nothing he can say will undo what he did. Comment. I can guarantee that no one is thinking twice about your nose. Everyone is thinking about what an ass your cousin is. That is why everyone was quiet. They were shocked at his rudeness and how out of the blue it was. They were shocked at his vitriolic unkindness and I'm sure they really didn't know how to respond because it was simply not true. I'm sure everyone thought you were fine and so they changed the subject, as one does when there is something out of the blue like that. This is his issue. Not yours. I'm sure your nose is fine. For whatever reason your cousin is massively insecure and felt the need to try to humiliate you in order to make himself feel better. That is a quintessential move on his part and reeks of deep insecurity. Here is the thing: the most important attribute in a person is confidence. You felt confident in your looks before and that shouldn't change just because one deeply insecure person felt the need to poke fun at you. Everyone has some feature that they are self-conscious about. Everyone. I agree. I think the silence had more to do with his rude and obnoxious comment than the actual size of your nose. If you have never had a problem with it, don't start now. I would have shot back at him right away. Sure would be sad to have a small brain like yours. An IQ of 57 is quite a challenge. Someone really should have scolded him on your behalf. He is a massive sick. Make sure you have some zingers ready for him if you ever get together again. Tell him he's a big bully. Does being a bully make age feel like a real man? Bullies need to be humiliated very badly. Do you have any idea what was going through his head? Was he trying to reassure his girlfriend that his beautiful cousin wasn't anyone to worry about? Have you been dissing him to the rest of the family and he got wind of it? I believe you should ask him outright. Why would you attack and mock me like that without any reason? If he says it was a joke, you can just say that's what every cruel bully says and drop it, because now you know he isn't going to help you understand. Good luck, OP. I'm so sorry this happened to you. I hope you can avoid him. I ran across a guy I'd had a crush on when I was a kid. While catching up, he mentioned he was thinking of getting a nose job. He has a big nose. I gasped, and without thinking, I said, "Oh, please don't. At least 90% of your sex appeal comes from your nose." I immediately felt terrible, but he just laughed, and didn't get the nose job. My point is that you should forget about this, because attractiveness doesn't come down to individual features, except for the ultra-childish, like your cousin. This is bizarre behavior, and I hate to feel the need to bring this up, but here it is. There's a stupid stereotype of a specific group of people that this applies to. And hatred of that group happens to be on the rise. No idea why your cousin would suddenly feel so strongly about something ridiculous like this.